Now, can I stream this on mine as well?
I don't know, but we're live now.
Yay. Hello, everybody.
What's up? It's Deborah. Happy Wednesday to you. I am so pumped that I'm here with my good friend here, Janine Bensouda. And it's actually a really funny story how Janine and I met. I don't know if you want to tell the story.
Oh my gosh. You can give your version.
Well, so we met at an event, and I'll leave it unnamed. She can name it if she wants to. But we met there, and we were both looking to really kind of connect with our tribe and, build our in-person network. This was literally right before coronavirus became an issue. And we met, and we both had some disappointing experiences from that event, but the good part of it was that we got to know each other and connected, and now we are fellow Mavericks in the Facebook group that I'm facilitating, and I know she's got a group she's starting too. So, and I know you're going to talk about that, but yeah, it was really interesting because it was like we came with kind of like high hopes, and then we kind of got disappointed, but it was not all for naught. We did at least get to connect and collaborate a little bit. So I'm really excited to have you, Janine. You are a powerhouse. You are accomplished in so many different areas, not just in business. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your expertise today.
Thank you, Deborah. It's lovely to be here with you. And it is really amazing how the reason we got together was precisely this, where there was a misalignment between the purported values of an organization and its intended purpose and what was actually happening. And that's where both of us said, oh my God, this doesn't feel right. It's not aligned. So yes. It's such a pleasure to be with you. I love your Facebook group, Leadership for Mavericks. It's awesome. So much value all the time, really, really practical, and it feels like home. So thanks for that.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. That means a lot to me coming from you.
Yeah, for sure.
So our topic this week is calling in your tribe, and I know our community is very diverse, but for those of us who are employers who hire or who are managers who are leading teams of employees and need to be able to create cohesion or stronger integrity between what the company says that they're about and what they actually are operating that they're about. This is something that I know is a huge challenge. Now, a lot of what I talk about is I talk about personal core values and then also team core values, which there will be some overlap, but there can be some differences in knowing how to dance with that. But I would love to hear, you've definitely had quite a bit of experience. Maybe you want to tell a little bit about your experience in the work that you do, and then share with us what you think is a solution for a misalignment like that.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the whole passion and obsession almost with alignment of an organization or a team or even a family's values and what they're thinking, speaking, and behaving and acting had really started, I think, from ever since I was young, because I come from a family that was very nomadic. We, originally from Morocco, born in Gambia, raised in America and Dubai, and lived and worked in 30 countries. And everywhere I went, I kept feeling like doors were closing. Oh, but you're not really from here because blah, blah, blah. You look like that. You speak like that. You sound like that. You were born here. You don't have that passport. And I always felt, okay, so who are you? And if I can follow your values, and maybe I can, or if I understand your values, I can identify and feel like I belong. And one of the core objectives of an organization or a team is to be clear about their identity so that both the team that work there as well as the customers know whether they belong. Mm-hmm. And as time goes by, customers are becoming more discerning about, who they choose to use for their services or their products, whether they feel like they belong with that tribe or not. Mm-hmm. And so do the teams. And what I started to find out as I entered into the workforce was my initial background was all in financial services. I joined Citibank. I joined another bank in the Middle East, and then I became a consultant and worked with a lot of banks. And I kept noticing, hang on a second, when I was working in this one major bank in the UAE, I was head of a department at a young age. It wasn't really, I don't know how I got that chance, but anyway, what I realized was the stated values of the organization, I took it and I took it to heart. And I said, as a leader of this department, we are going to respect these values. We are going to reflect it in our policies, our processes, how we treat our customers, how we treat each other. After we did that, and we had this great department, but guess what? We were kind of at odds with the rest of the organization. And we started to encounter issues where there were processes that needed to be handed over to other departments. And the misalignment was that not all departments in the organization were following the stated values. So, for example, if you say we are customer focused, we put customers first. And then you go behind the scenes and you realize, first of all, why are our customers complaining so much? And they're complaining that these policies don't make sense. Why do they have to show a receipt, let's say, when they want to return an item? And then you go to the department head and they say, well, that's how we've always done it. That's how we have to do it. They need to prove it. So, yeah, but we're saying customers first. So does that make sense? Doesn't our policy have to change? And that's where things get stuck. So I got on a mission. I was like, okay, I need to figure out, are any other organizations facing this? So I got into consulting, traveled the world, and I was like, oh my God, everybody's has this problem where the values from the top are breaking down and not being translated into the way the organization operates, how the policies are made, how decisions are made, how the procedures and the processes work. And that's where the real truth is, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's much more than just putting it on a poster and saying, this is what we believe in, this is who we are, or going out and marketing it. Because I also worked at Ogilvy and Mather, so I understood how companies were positioning themselves from a branding perspective. And that started to concern me even more. It's like, hang on, now we're almost lying. Because now if we're claiming to the world, and this is the Maverick in me, right? Like, call it out. So I decided, you know what? I'm done with the corporate world because I don't believe in this. I am not aligned with the way these things are operating. I believe that we should care, and CEOs should be held accountable for creating a culture that supports what they are claiming to the rest of the world.
Yes, absolutely.
And so I spent the last 8 years developing a model to bring a system to help correct. And it's an alignment model called Think, Talk, Behave, and that's in its simplest form. Ask the question, is your organization thinking, talking, and behaving like you claim to believe in and your values state? And that translates by department. So the think refers to your policies, your prioritization, your decision-making, your governance. The talk is the language, because, you can't tell me you're a family-oriented organization and then I go to meetings and I hear very aggressive, vulgar language. That's not aligned, right? Or you say we're very innovative, and then in meetings you hear people saying, no, that's not a good idea. We don't want to hear this. That's too dramatic. If you're innovative, then you got to let people go crazy with their thoughts, and that is also reflected in the language. And then thirdly, in behavior, that reflects on people's behavior, what you reward and what you don't accept, because there have to be certain boundaries as well. And then in your processes and what it takes to make a process applicable and appropriate for that purported culture. So by going through this kind of systematic approach, department by department, function by function, making it relevant, people eventually understand what they have to do to change the operating model so that it is aligned.
And do you feel like you get a lot of pushback from people when you come in with this?
A lot at the beginning, because this is the mirror in your face conversation, right? This is the sitting with the CEO and saying, Mrs. or Mr. CEO, you have claimed that these are the values your organization respects. But may I show you the 75 processes, policies, and procedures which are at odds with that and not aligned? Now, you have two choices. Either change those policies and processes or change your values. Just be honest. Figure out who you are. But you've got people joining you, because you remember tribes are affiliate with tribes who are like-minded. So if I claim to be a certain way, I will attract a certain type of individual. When they come in, then they're like, what? Hang on. This isn't the environment I was expecting. And then you just have all kinds of complications, expenses, frustrations, turnover is high, all your key indicators are affected. And ultimately, all of this affects your profitability and the sustainability of your performance. So,
oh my, when you said that, I'm sorry, I just had a flashback to the event where we met. It was exactly what happened. Like, I came in all bright-eyed and, hey, selfie.
Yeah.
And then like 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, what's going on over here? It was so exactly what you were talking about. It was like a microcosm of it in that event. And I like, you were saying that, I was like, oh, wow, that was exactly what happened. So I agree. It's better to just, lay your cards on the table when you're presenting yourself to others than to say that you present something that you're not. And then you have all these other complications once people figure out that this is not what they signed up for.
That's correct. And so my dream is to create an indicator that we have a version of it right now, but that measures. So, how you have qualitative and quantitative measures in an organization, and people who work in big companies familiar with the term balanced scorecard, because that's an approach that is kind of standard for how you measure your performance. Now, my position is I don't think it's so balanced. I think it's an imbalanced balanced scorecard. Because it's missing one key measure, which is how aligned is this organization with its stated values. So you were measuring performance of the financials, you're measuring your customer satisfaction, you're measuring your employees' kind of learning and engagement, and then you're measuring your processes. But are you measuring? That's all fine. But is it what you're claiming to be? And that's where I think, based on where we're going as society, becoming more conscious, more awakened, more concerned about how we spend our time and whom we spend our time with, I think it's going to become increasingly more important for organizations to address this question and make sure that the cultures that they're building are truly aligned to their identity, and for everyone's benefit. And this can even be in, I have a small boutique consulting firm. Yet even in my small firm, which is kind of a microcosm of the macrocosm, is this is key and important. And it's been one of the reasons why I've been so blessed to have like the best people always working in my team, because we're clear about who we are and who we are not. There are some things that are acceptable and some things that are just not the way we do things. And there's no right or wrong or any judgment. It's just we're saying, this is who I am. I'm just being clear about it. And I try as hard as I can to be aligned with that. And when I get out of whack, somebody put me in place, starting with myself. So even for the individual, like the solopreneur, or the small entrepreneur with a small or micro company, it is still equally important, because the stronger and more clear you are about your identity, the easier and more powerful it is to express your brand. Yes. And then the easier it is for people to identify. It's like you have this bright light that you're shining up like a lighthouse, that people say, oh, okay, that's me. I want to be there.
No, I when you said that, we're on the same wavelength, totally. Mm-hmm. Because when you said that, I thought about our experience at that event. And when we really looked at it, it started with the top person, the top leader was not actually operating, and at least in that time that we encountered this person, in alignment with the values that he was portraying for his entire company. But it started with him. Right. And it's the same reason why when I work with leaders, I start with them. I don't go into the team until they are really crystal clear on their core values and their own, what they stand for and who they are, just like you said. Because if they don't have that down, they're going to get lost in the mesh of what should we be doing with our business. And I've seen this so many times where I have clients who are brilliant, have amazing businesses, but they're stagnating because they didn't really have that strong connection first. Right. Before trying to run a business with a team of people. So then when they flounder, everybody's floundering because there's no kind of really clear defined identity with which they can all connect and say, no, we stand for this.
Right.
And it's one thing to say it in some copy on a post or on an email, but it's another thing when everyone is actually just operating that way, like you said. So I agree with you. That applies first to the individual before it can then apply to the team.
And that's why this kind of think, talk, behave has become a model for me, even raising my children. Yeah. So and my kids are very used to it. We say, is that really aligned with what we believe in, how we think, like the words and expressions? So one of the values that we believe in is positivity and positive approach to life. And so when we sometimes come out with words or expressions that are very negative, we check ourselves and say, is that really aligned with our language? So what's another way we might view that or express that, and we can self-correct. So by having this, it doesn't mean you're always going to be doing everything the right way, but what it means is it gives us a tool to auto-correct a lot quicker and effectively. And then it's easy for my kids to understand, because it's like how we think, how we talk, how we behave. So Mom, when you say be on your best behavior, what do you mean? So how should we talk and how should we behave? Are we supposed to be, are we supposed to be up there and speaking up, or do you want us to just like kind of listen and address questions if we're asked? And it makes it more specific, so we get more clear about who we are. I remember one of the most difficult lessons for me to learn as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur, especially getting started, you just need business and you just need it. And you kind of are almost, in the beginning, I was like ready to get it from anywhere. And then I realized in time that, hang on a second, the whole reason I left the corporate world was because I wanted to do things on my own terms. Reference, leader who's a maverick. And so I better now apply that same judgment with my business. So I had to also redefine and look at what kind of projects and who I was willing to work with and who I was not willing to work with, and what conditions I was willing to accept and not accept. And though it might have hurt a bit at first, it then became very empowering and made me feel better. Because I always feel worse when I'm misaligned. When something is not aligned, I always have that constant irritation. I'm walking around like, what? Something's wrong. And I usually, when I sit with myself, and it's like, because I'm doing something or saying something that is not aligned with my values, and so I'm not happy.
I love it. I wish we had more time, but I really just want to emphasize that what you just said, that last point about think, talk, behave. This is a powerful tool. Janine just gave us some really great examples. So, try it out with your family, try it out with yourself, try it out with your team to see, like, what do we stand for and how can we actually start to align what we do with what we stand for. I think that's so powerful. I think it can benefit everyone if they use that. So thank you for sharing that tool with us. And I know there's so much more juiciness to learn from you. You're an amazing person. We've just barely scratched the surface. So how can the community here get in touch with you, and also just briefly tell us, a little bit about your newest project and how you're trying to change the future of companies and cultures through the youth. Please share with us.
Thank you. Everyone is welcome to get in touch with me on Instagram, hashtag Janine Bensouda, as it's written on the screen, or on LinkedIn, again, the same full name. I also have a lot of videos, and there's an interesting video that a couple of videos I'd like to encourage people to go check on our YouTube channel, which is Bensouda Consulting, about culture, kind of tongue-in-cheek, animated, funny story about what happens, and you might recognize your own situation there too. As far as what my latest projects are now, I kind of decided, to have a bigger impact, I probably need to step back a little in terms of timeframes, where we have a chance to inspire and influence more, maybe. Mm-hmm. So I'm now doing some programs targeted at like 16 to 20-year-olds, people in high school, people getting ready for university or just graduating, to really look at some concepts around what is leading with love, and how can we start to identify who we are, what we believe in, and how can we recognize and build a tribe and associate with organizations that are aligned with us. So I'm very hopeful about this. We had our first cohort that's gone through the program, and it's tears. Like literally, I am learning so much from these youngsters, and they are so full of enthusiasm. So I have great hope for the future, Deborah.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful. So please share it with us, a link, or whatever it is for that as well.
Okay.
So if anyone here works with youth, I think we have a couple of group members who work with youths, and if I haven't connected you with them, I will.
Oh, good. Thank you.
So that you all can collaborate. The brain, the group mind is so powerful.
So powerful.
Thank you so much. I'm really we just started, so I'm going to have you back on again. So
I'd love to, Deborah. Thank you for creating this great forum and this engaging dialogue. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you. I mean, this is what it's all about. And I just was like, okay, I've done a lot of teaching, and I really want us to have some really juicy conversations. So I'm really glad that we were able to talk today. And thank you all, those who are watching, watch #replay. And connect with Janine if you haven't already done so. Amazing person. You will learn so much from just a little time with her. So thank you so, so much, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you, Deborah. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye.